It's actually 96 malls.
96.
96.
My brand never goes on sale.
Oh, yes. I know. Sorry. Yeah.
Unlike my mother, who will be there all
And
day.
there's a family, 5 or 6 or 7, walking horizontally, not vertically.
Pace of the music that you're playing also that contributes towards the entire retail and shopping experience.
So you don't know if someo's secretly a millionaire who's going to
Yes.
come in and buy a whole load of stuff, and you've just completely ignored them.
Yeah. Manners Unfiltered. Still wild. This is Manners Unfiltered. Learn about style.
So, hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Manners Unfiltered with myself, Emma Brain, and of course the lovely Orchids Roy, who is your etiquette coach. And with us we have a very special guest today, Steve Heng, who is a clienteling manager for a luxury retail brand. Is that I feel like, is that a made up word? Steve, before we get into this, tell us exactly what that is. What do you do?
You know, when I first heard the term, I thought that this was a very interesting. It's something that they coined, but actually in the world of retail, this is getting more and more important, and there's a lot of emphasis being placed upon developing clients, because as we know, in this day and age when we are looking at a lot of e-commerce, many of our clients are very comfortable dealing with the digital world as well.
Sure.
So clienteling as a whole really is about the development of the client. It's about, of course, promoting the brand. It's about increasing sales. But more importantly, it's about spending time with the client. It's about developing the client. It's about digging deep and to really, really understand the needs of our clients. So in this day and age, I think more than ever, it's very, very important to be able to increase the reach of any particular brand beyond the confines of the physical store.
Amazing stuff. So as you've probably gathered, this episode is about shopping and retail etiquette and how it works in the UAE. And to Orchids, before we get stuck into that, do you want to give us a little rundown of the history of trade and retail in the UAE?
Yes, I would love to. But just to give you a brief background about Steve, so he works for a luxury brand here in the UAE. So are you guys ready to go deeper into the history of shopping? So before UAE became what it is now, a modern shopping destination, so it started its roots with ancient souk. So before we have the shopping malls, back then in the UAE, they have the souk or the market and bazaars where traders across the region can come and exchange goods like spices, animals, the camels, lamb, and also stories. It's a great way where people come together and they share their stories and their journey. So that's how market or shopping started. And going back in that time, UAE also has a historical trade route. As you can tell, the location of UAE is predominantly in the middle of between Asia and Europe. So it actually also passes through traders going through the Silk Road also passes through in this region. And that's how, the bazaar, the souk was organized during that time, and people come in and, go and shop and buy their necessities, their food and everything else.
And we still had
So
a lot.
yes.
And we still have a lot of souks today. They're still called souks today here.
Exactly, yeah. So even now, there are still traditional shopping tradition that is still being practiced. You can see that in gold souk and spice souk, where you go and you still haggle
Karama.
and bargain. And Karama,
Karama's
yes,
the big
don't
one.
forget
Let's
Karama.
not forget Karama.
Yes, where you go there and haggling, asking for discount, is still being practiced. Yes. So that's the history about our shopping. Now, I would like to get a small trivia. How long have you been here, Steve, in the UAE?
Oh, too long. By July of next year, it will be 14 years. So I'm counting down to getting to that
14?
magic number 15.
Oh, I got your beat.
Okay. So, just as one trivia question, what is the first shopping center in the UAE?
Oh, that's going to be quite difficult. I think it might be Arabian Center.
Arabian Center.
Oh, that's new out by no.
Yes, so it's actually located in Dera.
Okay.
The mall is called Al Ghurair Center. Have you been to Al Ghurair?
I have indeed. There used to be a very, very nice Korean restaurant, which I really
Oh
enjoyed.
yeah,
Al
they have a
Ghurair
Korean
Center.
restaurant.
Yeah.
So Al Ghurair Center opened its door in Dubai in 1981.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's a long time.
And I'm amazed that, to be
Yes.
honest with you, it's still there.
I know.
Because stuff doesn't always last very long here in the UAE,
True,
but it's
true.
still there. And I feel like we get malls. You throw a rock and you hit a shopping mall.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
in Dubai.
Yes,
We
yes.
love to shop.
And now, I don't know how many. We can actually ask. We can Google now how many shopping centers are there in the entire UAE.
Hundreds.
So I'm sure there's a lot of them. I'll get back to our listener with that information. But
you know, I think
yes.
Dubai is a city of superlatives. If you're looking at the tallest, the biggest, the best, we have them all here. So let's not forget about Dubai Mall, which is possibly one of the largest, if not the largest, mall in the world.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
even though we do have, a massive rise of e-commerce, online shopping, where people can just sit at home with a cup of tea doing their shopping, we still do love to hit the mall to go and check things out on the rail and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's a good, we have the best of both worlds here.
Definitely, I think retail has developed so much over the years, and compared to what it was, let's say even maybe 5 years ago, what we're seeing now is quite different from the landscape, from what we're used to. And something very interesting as well, a comment that you made, Emma, about us wanting to go to the physical shop and to have a look at the items and the pieces on the rail. And there is a dimension about that connection with the client, about that physical touch that is becoming so important even in this digital age.
Yeah. Okay. So are you guys ready? It's actually 96 malls. 96, but it only mentioned in Dubai.
I was
96
gonna
malls
say,
in the
That's
in
not
Dubai.
the whole of the
Yes.
UAE.
Okay. So let's dive in deeper to the etiquette. That's the core of our episode now. Retail etiquette. Now in the modern world, what are your pet peeves? I would start with Emma, maybe. Do you have any pet peeves when it comes to shopping in UAE?
Absolutely. Look, I do love to go to the shops and I do like to browse every now and again, although I'm very much like my father. I know what I want. I walk in, I get in and I walk out, unlike my mother who will be there all day. She don't mind me saying that because she knows it's true. My biggest pet peeve is the stalking sales staff. I cannot stand it. And I will very politely say to them, I hope you're having a fantastic day. If I require assistance, I will ask you. Please don't stalk me around the store. There's nothing worse than that for me.
I want to ask you, since you work for a retail company or luxury brand, what do you think are the most important elements of retail etiquette?
I think engagement is very, very important. I think in Dubai, generally, our sales team, our sales staff, has a very strong sense of service. They want to be able to provide that elevated and superior customer service. What you mentioned just now really is one of my pet peeves as well, stalking sales staff, because ultimately you are more than a cashier, you're more than just a person to do the transaction. However, with the sense of privacy in this country, with our cosmopolitan nature, sometimes when you're thinking and when you're dealing with clients and sales providers coming from around the world, it can be quite difficult to translate that into day-to-day action. How should you behave, let's say, to an expat compared to our Emirati friends? Because every culture is different and there are nuances in terms of your approach. So I would say yes, I really do dislike stalking sales staff, but very, very often it's also the staff wanting to provide the client space, but still being present and available for any assistance. So I think what you are doing right now, Emma, it's amazing. You tell them what you need, and then this sets up the expectation for the rest of your shopping experience.
Orchids, what's your pet peeve?
Well, my pet peeve is someone who basically disorganized T-shirts that are nicely folded. They come to the shop and basically just making a mess. Maybe they're just window shopping. And I think it's very, very inconsiderate. Look, if you're not planning to buy, at least, return the item to where you took them, or don't make a mess on those nicely folded T-shirt. The staff will, happily assist you of the size that you're looking for, but be considerate. Again, etiquette is about being considerate. Put yourself to the staff's shoes, and that's one of my pet peeves, actually.
I'll agree with that. As someone who, when I was at university, used to work in a big department store, I used to work on the floor of Debenhams. And we have to go and fold all those clothes back up again and make sure they're all neat and everything. And when people leave the changing room in a disaster, looks like a clothes explosion in there. I'm the person, if something doesn't fit me, I don't want it, I take it back to where I found it and I hang it up again, because it's just what I used to do for a job. So I don't expect the staff to do it for me. They've got other things to do than go and re-hang up jackets and stuff for me.
Yes, and we're so lucky here in Dubai that there's so many staff in each store, and you don't even need to return the item back to the actual store, because they have hanging return rail where you don't have to take it from where you took it. So that's my pet peeve. So going back to you, Steve, can you share any customer experience that is very memorable to you, something that really, really stood out for you?
We had a client recently coming into the store. It's kind of romantic, actually. He came in together with a friend, and he had just started a relationship with this wonderful lady. And of course, you find out about the client, and you discover their needs, and you think, okay, what is it that I can do to elevate the client experience today? Because to be honest, luxury retail, our pieces sell by themselves. There is recognition in the society, there is recognition within the luxury space. You don't really have to push the items, and the pieces really, they speak for themselves. What is very important is to see what are the exact pieces that will match this client's needs. And of course, we created this beautiful story about the piece. We linked it to his requirement as a person embarking on a budding relationship. And it was very nice because the piece that we actually sold to him in the end has a story that links with the place that he met this lady.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
it's made in the same location where they first made.
That's lovely.
Where they first met. So it's sometimes these stories, they keep you going. Yes, retail, as you might know, Emma, is a lot of drudgery, very long hours, but you live for these little tidbits that happen in your everyday sales journey. And it just gives you a lot of a sense of satisfaction, I would say, when you're able to actually find something that really pleases the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I jumped into the customer experience. I haven't asked him what's his pet peeve.
Yeah, what is your pet peeve, Steve?
Sorry,
Steve's pet peeve.
I didn't ask you.
I think I am a person who thrives on engagement.
Yeah.
So if I find a client that I've greeted, I've said hello, and there is no response, I find that not rude, because everybody is in their own space, of course, and everybody is entitled to the kind of shopping experience that they like. But as I'm coming from the other side, not from the client side, not from the customer side, but from a sales and service perspective. My pet peeve is it doesn't cost you anything to say hello.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I this is something that I was talking to Orchids about a while ago, and I think that a lot of people, and I don't particularly want to use this word, but I will. A lot of people, I feel like they're too self-entitled when it comes to sales stuff, when it comes to checkout stuff, And I'm the shady person. I'll stand there and make the comments, when it comes to don't expect the checkout person to pack your bags for you, particularly in like the supermarket. And I'm like, oh, is there a problem with your arms? Are they okay? What's the reason you can't pack your own bags? and you're just holding up the queue. Because again, I've done that job. It's it just holds things up. And there was a young lad in our supermarket recently, and he was very polite, and he went up to the checkout and was like, oh, hello, how are you today? And you know, just someone saying hello to a checkout member of staff or a barista or someone in a cafe, anyone in the service industry, it makes their day. You see their face like someone's actually taken an interest in me. Please, thank you. Packing your own bags, helping them out. They stood there on their feet for hours and hours and hours on end. Kindness costs nothing.
Yeah.
As far as
so I'm glad
concerned.
you mentioned, you touched on queuing. So what is your take on someone who cuts you in the queue? You've been queuing to pay for your shopping pieces, and someone asks you, excuse me, I only have one piece. Can I? Yes. Go ahead of you. What is your take on that? Shall I start with you, Steve? So.
If it's only one item
Yeah.
and I am not in a rush, I would say fine, it's just one item, because sometimes I understand the difficulty in finding parking. I understand that they might just require this one item because they've got a child waiting at home. It depends on the particular day, the particular circumstance. And of course, the approach is very, very important as well. If they are let's say if they are polite, if they are nice, if they say, I just have one item, may I please just quickly pay and go, I would say, you know, it's fine. It's okay. We all live in society. We need these things, and etiquette, of course, as I understand it, is the lubricant that eases all our interaction between people. I would say, yes, it's okay. Please go ahead.
But I also want to add on that it's okay to say no. Again, depends on your your mindset at that day. Maybe you're not in a good mood, and you're really in a rush as well, depending on your circumstance. It is okay to say no.
Yeah.
You know, you've been queuing there.
Absolutely.
So if you say, because I think people are pressured to just say yes, because you're trying to be polite all the time. But it is okay to say no as well.
But it's interesting, the actual number of people, if I've gone into a shop and I've literally just picked up one or two items, the number of people in the queue ahead of me have gone, oh, you've only got, then like, go ahead. We've got an entire shopping trolley, go ahead. And I'm like, only if you're sure. Only if you're sure, because I'm not in a rush. I'm happy to wait for you guys to go ahead. But the number of people that actually see you with one or two items, and they push you in front of them.
Yeah, just look around how many people are queuing. Or sometimes, hi, Emma. Oh, hi. And then, can I join in? Haven't seen you for the longest time. Okay, can I insert?
It's fine if it's one friend, but when they bring 10 with them, that's a whole different story.
I know. Okay, so how about you're walking to the mall and there's a family of 5 or 6 or 7 walking horizontally, not vertically. So you literally have to, okay, where should I pass? What's your take on that? Because I don't like it.
I'll just say, excuse me, do you mind just creating a gap so I can get you take up the whole thing, you know?
Again, people like, you need to be aware that sometimes, in the mall, there's that way and the other way. And if there's a lot of you, you don't have to hold hands all together and block people's way. So that's another one for me. Can you think of, what else can you think of something that really, really, get into your nerves?
A one that I had recently, and this one particularly pertains to women. Trying on clothes with faces full of makeup.
Yes.
However, I went into a store and I saw this beautiful white jacket. It was the last piece they had in my size. And for starters, I don't know how they got it there. On the lapel down here was a big fat lipstick stain. I was like, what were you doing? Were you blotting your lips on the jacket kind of thing? And I said to the sales staff, I said, look, I'm happy to take, it's the last piece. They went and checked in the back and everything. It was the last piece. And I said, look, I'm happy to take the jacket. I'll take it to my dry cleaners. If they can work some magic and get it out, fine. If not, can I bring it back? And the store said yes, obviously, because we consider it defective. We would give you a discount, but we can't. It's on sale anyway because it was they had a lot off anyway. So I was like, luckily my wizard of a dry cleaner could get the lipstick out. But you know, ladies, if you're going to go and try on clothes with makeup, have a tissue, a large
Absolutely.
tissue, or a
I
hanky in
agree
your
with you.
pocket, and you put it over your face or even your hand to hold the item away from the, and you pull it down over the top of your hand, because makeup stains on clothing is not a good look.
Yes, I want to hear from Steve. What do you do in the store? So if someone wants to fit some clothing, especially light colored ones, do you have a, you know, like a tool, not a tool, something that to cover their face? How do you guys do it in store?
Actually, we do. It's the standard in our boutiques to always provide a face shield.
Oh, there's a face shield.
It's like a
it's
bee
face
mask. It looks
shield.
like a beehive mask kind of thing.
Okay.
So, for our particular brand, it's more of a soft 100% silk crepe material that is black, so
Okay.
it protects not just our pieces, but also it protects the client as well.
That's good, because I know
it
like
protects
some
their makeup. It doesn't
yeah,
get smudged.
some certain shoe store provides socks before you fit them, which is very good, but some actually don't provide, unfortunately. But that's very, very good.
That's,
Yeah.
that's I'm so glad you brought up.
Hygiene.
That's actually something that's kind of gross. You want to try a pair of shoes off, think of all the bare feet that have been in it beforehand. Always, if you're going to try shoes on, take a pair of cut-off stockings with you or socks to try them on, and the store should provide them anyway. They should provide you with those little stocking socks to try shoes on, because it's not nice.
Yeah.
It's really not nice.
Absolutely, yeah. So I also want to ask you, this is another thing. I actually have a question here. Sales attendant who's busy attending a customer, and another customer just jumped in and wanted to speak to the sales attendant. Do you provide any training to your staff on how to handle this situation? Can you share it with us?
We do, and believe it or not, even in luxury retail space, this happens quite often. I think you need to be able to have the best of both worlds. You acknowledge that somebody is requiring assistance, but also not neglect the customer that you are assisting right at the moment. We always tell them that please apologize to the client that you are assisting now. Face the client that is trying to get your attention and tell them that I am serving somebody. Please wait a few moments so that I can give you my full attention, so that I can provide you with the best service that you deserve. That is the idea of not compromising the service, but of course this has to be done quite discreetly. This has to be done quite effectively, and you need to make sure that the proper body language is there, that you are not resisting the other client, but you're just requesting for their patience.
Okay.
As a manager on the floor, what that person needs to do, of course, is to have that awareness and to circulate and ensure that these kinds of situations are minimized, that the client gets their attention. Whenever there is a situation where there are a lot of clients in the store and you might have to spend a little bit of time waiting, how are you going to animate that waiting time? What are the techniques? And this comes down to the person managing the floor on the day.
And I kind of have a little bit of a follow-on question to that. So you don't have the pretty woman movement. I was in here yesterday and you wouldn't wait on me. That was a big mistake. Huge. I have to go shopping now. You know, we're teaching staff not to make judgments of people.
Absolutely.
Because it happens
Yes.
all the time. And you look at you don't know if someone's secretly a millionaire who's going to
Yes.
come in and buy a whole load of stuff, and you've just completely ignored them because of how they're dressed in that moment.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that?
I think that comes from having that awareness of our client profile. We live in Dubai. This is an extremely cosmopolitan city where you have customers and clients coming from every single part of the world. And everybody has, let's say, not different standards, but the way that they perceive beauty is very, very different across different cultures. So it's very, very important that you provide that kind of consistent service. And again, that comes down to the continuous training that we provide to our sales staff as well. Role plays, briefings, it has to
Yes.
be consistently enforced. And as a manager on the floor, it's also important for you to be a role model when you are greeting
Yes.
the customers.
Customer, absolutely,
and not
yeah.
to make snap judgments, because absolutely right, Emma. We don't have people coming back the next time to say
Yeah.
that here I am now, let me buy your store. But
Like
we
the saying
do-
goes, don't
yeah.
judge the book by its
Yeah.
cover, because you'll
Absolutely.
never
We
know.
have people
Yeah.
coming in dressed extremely casually, because Dubai is a city that is built for comfort.
Yeah.
We've got ACs everywhere, but outside it's hot, it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
They come in to look for some small item, but in the end they spend 100,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
Wow.
As well.
Yeah.
So you do not
Never-
make
yes.
that snap judgment, because every single client that comes into the store, that walks past the door, deserves the
100%.
Yeah.
kind
Yes.
of service.
Yes,
Yeah.
100% agree with
I
that.
saw a YouTube video recently about a young guy, and he documented this actually happened to him. So a young guy, and whether he made his fortune through crypto, and he's an influencer, all the rest of it, and he went to buy a Bugatti, and he was like, and the salesman's like, "I'm not gonna. Please don't touch the car." He's like, but I'm seriously looking to buy the car.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't even want you to touch it, let alone
Oh
sit in
my
it.
word.
And he's like, okay, fine. So he goes to the next show, he
Showroom.
buys the car, drives back to that salesman, go, how much commission did you just lose because you wouldn't let me buy the car from your showroom?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But he was
Okay.
kicking himself that day.
Yes,
I'm sure.
exactly. Yeah. While we're still in the topic of shopping, this is something a lot of us actually experience, because we've been here for quite some time now. Shopping during Ramadan. Okay. So it's actually my favorite time of the year to shop, because there's a lot of sale going on, Ramadan offer. So what special training do you tell to your staff about this holy month of Ramadan?
First of all, I'd just like to add that my brand never goes on sale.
Oh, yes. Sorry, yes.
Some don't, some do not.
Unfortunately, yeah.
No, we don't. We never have any sale items. But what you mentioned just now, orchids, it's something that is very special to this region. Ramadan, of course, is
Yes.
It's one of my favorite.
No, as a whole, yeah.
periods
So
of
during time
as
of
well.
Ramadan, yeah. So are the staff aware of the do's and don'ts, and how to be, patient and understanding?
Of course.
Yes.
Very important is the kind of music that we play in store during
Oh,
Ramadan.
okay.
Has to reflect the holy nature of the time, at least during daylight hours. Anyway, our sales team are not allowed to consume drinks or food on the sales floor, not even chewing gum, for example. So that already is a sense of respect for the season. Of course, Ramadan is a time when a lot of our clients and people in the region, they face away from materialistic consumption and more into spiritual pursuits. But of course, gifting is also such a very big culture in the region that instead of focusing on using and consuming the product, we want them to discover opportunities to gift our pieces to our clients. So for this particular region, there are special drops, there are special collections that are
Okay.
released.
Okay. Only during
according to the season.
Yes. Okay. Oh,
As
nice.
well. For Ramadan, recently there were festivals in the Chinese community as well. So we had
Yes,
special
Chinese.
items that reflects the transient nature of the seasons.
Yeah.
I think with Ramadan being something that is so important for us here, it is absolutely important that all our staff members get the necessary training about the sanctity of the period, the importance of this time for our clients as well. I think ultimately you have to move away from a very transactional nature in your engagement with the client, but try to understand and try to appreciate and share your own Ramadan memories. As you mentioned, our kids, we've been here for some time. We know what it's all about. We know how special it can be for some of our clients. But we've also experienced very special moments in Ramadan. So we always ask them to share their own experiences, to connect with the client, because really you are more than just a person performing a transaction. You are there to build the relationship, and this is what clienteling is about. It's about getting into the mind of the client, to understand what they need and to read through the lines, even through their subconscious and conscious, what they say verbally and what they're not telling you. You need to be able to understand what it is that they need.
I just want to go back to the point you made about the kind of music you play in store, because I think that's a really important point, that retail outlets have to understand their whole ambiance, and the way they do things needs to reflect their brand and also be respectful to where they are. Look, I used to work in radio for many, many years. I was head of music, so I understand how we edit songs, use radio edits and stuff. The number of times when I was in a store and the expletives and I'd actually go to them and speak to the manager and go, this is not appropriate. You cannot be playing this, particularly when you have children coming into your store. It doesn't reflect your brand. And I'm just like, nobody wants to come in and be bombarded with F-bombs, literally. So there needs to be, from retailers, this mindset as well, that they have to be careful what they put out and what they're reflecting from their brands onto their customers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And also, sorry.
And something interesting as well, it's the pace of the music that you're playing also is a factor that contributes towards the entire retail and shopping experience. So, question for you, Orchids.
Yes.
When it's busy, do you think the music should be fast-paced or slow-paced?
During Ramadan or in general?
In general, if there are a lot of clients in the store, what do you think the kind of music should be?
I would play something that is slow-paced to calm down the customer, to make them relax, that this is not a competition for all the shopping. Relax, and then I will help you. I think it will set the mood for the customer.
Spoken like a true professional from the consumer side. From a
yes.
commercial side, when it gets
Okay.
busy, we tend to play music that's a bit more
Upbeat.
fast-paced and upbeat,
Okay.
because it actually speeds up the transaction so that more
Oh,
clients
that's
can
interesting.
be served.
Gives a
Ah,
sense of
very
urgency.
interesting.
Correct.
Okay.
And in that way, more clients get the opportunity to have that special moment and engagement with our sales team.
That's good. I just want to touch on quickly during Ramadan. So I think it's very important to remember, as a shopper, to be very considerate again to the staff during this holy month, because you never know, that person might be fasting.
Yeah.
You might be complaining, oh, he's too slow, he's taking his time. Again, this person haven't eaten and drank water for 12 hours. So you have to, again, be considerate and remember that. And also, for the benefit of our listeners, for those for those who are planning to move to Dubai, or for anyone who's interested, UAE actually hosts several shopping festivals, right?
We love
So
the
in
shopping
Dubai,
festival.
we have the Dubai Shopping Festival, we have the Dubai Summer Surprises. In Abu Dhabi, they also have the Abu Dhabi Shopping Festivals. Can you name other
Well,
festivals?
they do. We
So
do
a lot,
we
actually.
do all the for the different nationalities. So there'll be big festive stuff around Christmas,
Yes,
Diwali as
Diwali,
well. So
yes.
there's lots of offers depending on the national holiday, because of the nationalities here.
That's
they
correct.
tend to, appreciate that and put offers on at those different parts of
Yes.
the year as well. So it's all recognized, because the retail industry here is massive.
Yes, it's thriving. This is actually to attract shoppers around the world to come and shop in the UAE, and it's tax-free.
And we also will say shopping mall etiquette. We all see signs on the doors, but unfortunately we still see some people who ignore it. Dress modestly when you go to the shopping mall. We don't like people in swimwear in
Yes.
shopping mall. I mean, if you go to Sharjah, still they will not let men in with shorts above the knee. Shorts
Yes.
have to be knee length or below.
Yes.
Anything revealing for women, not like, because Sharjah's a lot
Yes.
more conservative
Yes.
as an emirate than,
Yes.
than
So Sharjah,
many
guys,
other
is another emirate here for everyone. yes, for everyone to know, so UAE consists of
Seven
Emirates,
Mm-hmm.
and Sharjah is one of them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for touching on that.
So we do, but I do see some people in the mall, and I hate to, I put on my judgment face, going, "What are you wearing?" It's just
Going
like
to the beach.
it's not. Yeah, it's like it's not. I don't know. Just because I grew up in Saudi and I've been in the UAE for 20 years, so I have that mindset.
Yes.
It's like there's a
Yeah.
time and a place. This really is not
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
Look,
I
it's-
hope we
it's-
can.
It's about
yes, sorry.
respecting the local
Yeah.
culture that is so important. It's about appreciating the culture of our hosts here in the UAE.
Absolutely.
But also, practically, the malls get really, really cold.
Oh yeah.
They
Good
get
point,
extremely
yeah.
cold. So just protect yourself. Don't
I know.
Don't fall
I even
sick
bring a jumper to go to
all
cinema.
the time.
So all the
All
time.
the time.
So I wish that we can go on about shopping, actual shopping. But let's move on to online shopping. As you know, it's such a big, huge transition from. They have a term for that, brick and mortar.
Bricks and mortar.
Bricks and
Yes.
mortar.
Yes.
Retail,
Now
yeah.
moving to
E-commerce.
online. Yeah, e-commerce, online shopping.
Mm.
I love online shopping as well. Well, shopping in general, but recently, because of my schedule, I love shopping, Amazon, or even food delivery.
Yeah.
So what I normally do, especially during summer, so instead of, sometimes I give cash tip, but I always give water
Yeah.
to this gentleman because of, I know, they work so hard, and I don't know how much, their salary is, but I think it's a good gesture to show your appreciation for them delivering your food and still warm, or delivering your order still intact. So it's, for me, I normally give them a bottle of water, cold water, or I give them a tip for, let's say, Deliveroo. I give them extra tip, even though, you can put the tip online, but I prefer cash tip.
It's a good point about the tips, because when we do electronic tipping, we don't know whether the service staff actually get the tip, or whether it
True.
all goes into a pot and it gets divvied out, or whether the employer just takes it. We don't know. They can say they give it to them, but the reality is we don't know. So I think they
Yes.
always appreciate cash in hand tip.
Absolutely. They
Better.
do.
And
Yeah.
these poor guys, these delivery guys that are on the bikes in particular, not necessarily
Yeah.
the ones that drive cars, particularly in the hot summer months and during Ramadan and rush hours, they turn up at your door, they're exhausted, they're hot and they're
True.
sweaty, and you can see it in their face. It costs nothing to just keep some juices, water, whatever in your fridge and offer it to them. They are forever
Absolutely, yeah.
appreciative of it.
Yeah.
Look, we're moving from a world that is brick and mortar into what we term now clicks and bricks. So clicks and
Clicks
bricks,
and
yeah. So you need to have that omni-channel
omnichannel. That's the word I was looking for.
the omni-channel presence in the
Yeah.
marketplace, because our clients are used to this way of shopping, and to be honest, it is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I would not really say that in the luxury space, the e-commerce site is really a competition to the physical store, because what they offer are very, very vastly different experiences. But you have to have that sort of presence in the e-commerce world, because our clients expect it. You need to
Yeah.
have a very nice website, customized for the region, localization in the language. You need to have that sort of infrastructure.
Really
and-
good
and we are
return
blessed-
policy.
and
Yeah.
really good
Yes.
return policy.
Yeah.
And we are very blessed in this country, because we've got amazing infrastructure in terms of logistics, in terms of delivery, in terms of the market take-up for these services, that we are actually able to provide these services. But it has to be seamless between the e-commerce transaction for returns exchanges with the physical store.
And talking about returns and exchange, I have a feeling because people are going maybe less to the physical stores and actually going and trying things on, they just order a whole bunch of stuff online, try it all on at home, and then probably send half of it back for refund or exchange. What is the etiquette for returning goods? Because I would hope that people just don't shove it all screwed up in a bag. I mean, if I send something back,
Yeah.
I fold it all nicely and make sure the tags are in place and put it in
Absolutely.
its original bag, and because that's the department store person in me coming out again.
Again.
but
yeah, true. Absolutely. So again, etiquette, it's about consideration for others, respect, patience. So if I'm going to return an item, I'll make sure that I will use the same bag to return it. Make sure that I folded it nicely. And of course, it's not stained or damaged for me to be able to return it back. And when you email the company for return, again, politeness is key. You have to, say it in a way that doesn't upset, even though you have the entitlement or you have the right to return an item. But then again, make your, tone of voice in your email to be polite. I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because I think people just say, I want to return now. Or even in WhatsApp messages, people tend to forget to say good morning or, just say, what time are you coming here? Like maybe because we're all so busy, we forget things to, being polite because we're always in a rush. So I think it's very important to remember that people who read your message or people who's interacting with you would have an opinion about you. So again, it's about your personal branding, how you want people to view you as a person, as a whole. So that would be my take for returning an item. Make sure it's nicely folded, not stained. The tag is still there.
Because the only reason I was about that, because there was a phase a few years ago where people went through this thing, and it went through the the internet forums and everything like wildfire. People, particularly influencers, would order clothes, they'd wear them out, and making sure the tags are hidden, the tags are still on, and then they just return it all. So you're effectively sending back a used item, which I'm not sure how I feel about the ethics of that, to be honest with you.
That's something which is very interesting, of course, in the luxury retail space.
Yes.
We do sponsor influencers. I think their contribution towards the brand awareness and promotion of the brand cannot be denied. And there are studies that show particular nationalities or citizens of some countries which have a higher take-up from influencers, which is fine. And this is just the way that retail and commerce is these days. But I resonate with what you were saying, Emma. That yes, it just feels a bit used when you are wearing something on social media. Yes, you are promoting the brand, but are you really, is that something that you really purchased, or are you obtaining the item through spurious means? That is a very, very interesting question. Is it illegal?
No, but is it unethical? Possibly.
Absolutely. I think when we talked about returns and exchanges, yes, being considerate is very, very important from the point of view of the retailer as well. Again, I always come back to this fact that we are very blessed to be in this country where there's no crime, where everything is very proper, everything is done in a very, very good way, let's say. But there are certain procedures that we have to follow to make sure that the item is authentic.
Yes.
And there are certain procedures that we have to maintain for the protection of the sales staff as well as for the protection of consumers in general, to ensure that even they are not duped by another third party.
Seeing as you brought that up, let's talk about it, because we know it happens a lot. You go to certain places and you get hounded by guys for the genuine fakes. I'm like, well, it's either genuine or it's fake. There's no in between here, guys. You can, if you have the keen eye and you know what you're looking for, you can tell when something is not genuine by the luxury manufacturer. But a lot of these copies are so good because you have a copy and an imitation.
Yes.
The imitation's deliberately done to imitate the original, and they're so good you literally could not tell the difference. So, and we find that a lot here. So how do we feel about that? I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, if you can't afford it, don't fake it. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
It's true. If you can't afford it, don't fake it, or start small.
Yeah.
Because we provide. Look, luxury pieces are not cheap. They're not meant to be cheap. But what you pay for, you get back in terms of the quality, in terms of the
Exactly.
craftsmanship, in terms of
And
the
the customer
material,
service.
and the customer service
Yes.
as well. But we do sell pieces which are very approachable, and if you like to dip your toes in that particular space, I think it's a goal that you
Yeah.
can work towards. People, in Korea, I read this article once that a lot of office workers, they give up lunch for a year in order to save up to purchase
To
a bag. And
buy.
when they finally do, there is this massive sense of accomplishment and
Yeah.
satisfaction
Ah.
when they finally are able to reach the goal and purchase a bag or a piece of jewelry or
Yeah.
Interesting.
or a
So-
piece of clothing for themselves.
Now I want to move our topic to something very, very traditional. Yeah. Haggling and bargaining, okay? Which is very common here in the UAE. It's part of their culture, especially in this region. So my question would be, you've been here, Emma, longer than I am. What do you think? How has the art of haggling evolved in the UAE? Are there specific tips that you can share to the newcomers to navigate this
Yeah.
practice?
What I have noticed over the years that I've been here, you used to be able to haggle a lot. Now those same places, they won't bargain it anymore. They're fixed price. They say we don't take, we're fixed price. So what I used to do back in the day, the deal was if you're going to the gold souk or something, you know what the daily
Spot.
gold price is. You've got to look it up. You've got to do your research. Know what the prices are, and then because they buy in bulk, so they can offer good discounts. With a lot of stuff, it used to be hit for 50% off,
Or even lower.
Work
No,
up- oh,
lower.
than that. And then, but
Lower
then,
than
and then,
50%,
and then
yeah.
work up. But it feels it's how, and then they like it when you get a bit cheeky with them. And I used to be, no. I don't want a tourist price. I live here.
Here.
I want the local price. I don't give me the tourist price, the visitor price. I want the local price. And some of them, they like it. They like the
Yes.
fun. They like the banter, and it's a bit of a game. It's fun, and they will always give you a good deal because look, anything price that they're going to give you, they're making a steal on it anyway.
Yes. So basically, start with a friendly approach. Yeah. Don't be too aggressive that you want the
No.
discount straight away. Yeah. So be friendly. Start with a story.
They like the
Yes, they
game.
love stories. Yes. And be patient. Be patient. You will eventually get that discount.
I think
Yeah.
the biggest tip is don't show too much interest. Don't show too much interest. I'm not sure, but the shop down there had a very similar thing at this point.
Yeah.
You can play several stores off one another. And the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
thing is if you feign disinterest and then walk out the door, and they will come running after you.
Yes. Yeah. And how about you, Steve? Can you share any experiences or memorable experiences that you had with this traditional haggling or bargaining?
Well, I will always haggle.
You always.
I
yes,
try
we
never
are
to
Asian.
pay.
We're
I
Asian.
try
It's
never
part of
to
our
pay full
genes.
price, especially when it comes to gold, because there is a markup, and it can be quite a huge markup for gold, for jewelry, for diamonds, for example. I like my diamonds. I have piercings. But then for general retail, let's say in fast fashion, the margin is minuscule. Also, for example, if it's something that is consumable, then really there is no point to haggle, because you know that the reality is the markup is tiny. Everybody has got to make a living somehow, and I feel that sometimes the entire process of haggling just diminishes the shopping experience. Depending on what
Okay,
you buy,
yes.
of course. Doing your research is super important, like what you mentioned, Emma. It's so important for you to know what is the value.
Yeah.
Worth and value are very, very different
Things.
things. You know, the time that you're spending haggling for something might not be worth it, even though the value discount that you're getting, it can be quite small or big. It depends. It really depends
Again,
on the particular
I
category.
think, depending on what product you're buying. So we're referring to gold now, but anything else, like for example, we're buying spices or
Or tourist
the fake
souvenirs,
Chanel or
definitely.
souvenirs.
Or tourist souvenirs,
Yes.
definitely. definitely. I think in China, when I was traveling in Shanghai, there's this place that you go called the Underground Market.
Yes.
And whatever price that they quote you, you slash it down by 80%.
80%,
And then
yeah.
you work your way up to around 40%, which is usually the acceptable
Yes.
acceptable price.
True. But it is a lot of fun, but you've got to have a good nerve to do it properly.
Absolutely, yes.
Very, very true.
It takes skill and practice
Yeah.
to navigate those haggling situation. But thank you so much for spending a few hours with us. Thank you. I appreciate
My pleasure.
your insights and your stories. And
Amazing
that's
stuff.
it.
Thank
Yes,
yeah,
thank
thanks
you.
Steve for coming in and giving us that. And you know, it's been fun sharing our stories of shopping, and I'm sure this is going to be a topic that we will revisit in the future because it's such a vast one and there are so many things, and I'm sure that we will get a lot of comments and questions, so we will collate those and come back to it with maybe a Q&A at a
Absolutely,
later
yes.
date and answer your questions on what you think about retail etiquette. But for now, this is Manners Unfiltered with myself, Emma, Orchids, and our very special guest, Steve. So until next time.
Manners Unfiltered, where you can learn all about the world of etiquette and manners. Manners Unfiltered, this is Manners Unfiltered. Learn about style. Manners Unfiltered, the UAE culture is all that matters.